thriving on community, sharing wisdom, and believing that the whole is stronger than the individual. I would say a team is when everybody is working together to create more than each one could create individually. Team has social needs and business needs, and if you're happy to come and if you are willing to do your best, I think you're already well on the way of being a great team. And the expert and the owner of the whole process is the team and not the coach.
Namaste and good evening to all. It's been such an enriching day, and now it's time for another inspiring session. We are truly delighted to welcome Kristen DeRolf. She's an internationally recognized pioneer in team coaching. As the founder of Solutions Academy, an ICF and EMCC accredited coaching institute, she has trained and mentored coaches across the globe. Kristen brings with her a wealth of expertise in creating collaborative, high impact team coaching cultures in organizations. And today, we have the privilege of learning from her rich experience and insights. So, with great joy and anticipation, let's warmly welcome Kristen Deroff on stage. Kristen, we are so happy to see you here, and we are honored at the same time. So, looking forward to what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome. Um, I will talk about solution focused team coaching, roots and wings. And let me start by sharing my set of slides. Today, I would like to walk you through solution focused team coaching. And what I love about solution focused team coaching is that it allows you to transition either from individual coaching, professional coaching, or from agile coaching into professional team coaching pretty easily. So, first of all, if you want to read more after this session, there is obviously this book that you can read and a little bit more of an introduction that I haven't shared. I just want to point out maybe all of these qualifications have already been mentioned. Maybe what I can say, what I love doing outside work, I love dancing, I love singing and making music, I love languages. Um, I sadly do not speak any Indian languages, although I have been very fascinated by Hindi and Sanskrit, but that is for my retirement. And I love strategic board games. So just so that you know a little bit about who is this person other than someone who's sitting in front of you trying to impart some knowledge about solution focused team coaching with you today. I love the topic of your beautiful conference, roots and wings. And I was looking for something as I was talking with the organizing committees, like, roots of a team, like a real team, people working together interdependently, flat hierarchies, making more of the individuals, but the sum of the individuals. And I asked the wisdom of our time, ChatGPT, obviously, but some of these I'm quite familiar with. I heard that in Indian history, there are the Sanghas and Gurukulas, collective learning circles, wisdom through dialogue. Although what I heard is that there was some kind of a hierarchy in those as well. In Africa, you have the philosophy of Ubuntu, council of elders, collective decision making. These two I am culturally not very familiar with. I've heard about it, but I have I'm not steeped in these traditions. The European tradition of Greek symposiums and Socratic dialogue is something that I am very familiar with. I started by studying theology and I learned ancient Greek and had to read the dialogues of Socrates in the original Greek when I was studying. So, so this idea of developing knowledge together by talking was very important at the time. And also monastic communities like the Beguines and the Beguards were sometimes pretty egalitarian, where people were working together to generate more. In the Americas, you have several Native American traditions and also Southern American traditions where every voice was valued. And in Australia, you have the so-called yarning circle. So you see there are a lot of roots of a team of equals, maybe under the guidance of a manager or a coach. Not, it wasn't labeled a coach, doing something together to achieve more than each individual can achieve. So the common thread is thriving on community, sharing wisdom, and believing that the whole is stronger than the individual. The not so useful roots, which I think we do have to acknowledge, is that a lot of history of teams is more a history of working groups, where you have one head and arms. So the team is not interdependent. They're a group of people who are doing what the other person, what the top guy is saying, what the person who has the power is doing. So I wouldn't call that a team. I would call that a work group under it's not even a leader, under a boss, under a, yeah, it's probably in English still a leader, but it's not what we mean by a leader in the normal, in today's world. If you're looking at wings at the future, you might say that the teams and team coaching is becoming ever more professionalized. So we have the team coaching frameworks, which are spreading globally with ICF and EMCC setting standards. I think the Association for Coaching also set team coaching standards. And a lot of organizations are increasingly using team coaching to navigate the complexity, the need for innovation, and our desire to generate meaning and new solutions through diversity. And here we also have some global variations that we can observe. In India and age and maybe I hate speaking about Asia as if it was one thing. I'm aware that Asia is it's not one thing; it's a thousand things, right? But this idea of blending interdependence and harmony with more modern models of leadership and teamwork. In Europe, we have the philosophical traditions and systemic traditions which emphasize the the team as a living system. In the USA, we have structured models linking coaching to agility or to performance. Africa, there is actually some coaching linked to Ubuntu. And in Latin America, we have counseling and coaching that is linked to participatory, relational, and liberational approaches influenced by dialogical models. And in Australia, there is also an influence of Indigenous practices of dialogue and resilience integrated with modern coaching. Modern, I mean not better, but with more contemporary, I would say, um, uh, coaching methods. And I am seeing that Jai Shankar just posted team is the executor of someone else's. Well, I would probably say that's not the case. I would say a team is when everybody is working together to create more than each one could create individually, more than the sum of its part. In history, you had one head, the top guy, and maybe five hands. And then the team wasn't really a team, but more of an extension of one person's intelligence. Yes, and Dolly is saying team united by purpose and by the purpose of generating more through interaction with one another. So that the common thread for the wings, I would say, is an enabling distributed, diverse, and global teams to co create futures that they could not reach alone. And what I'm seeing as not so useful developments today is that some team coaching is solidified as a model or a structure or a tool, as something you do over and over again. It's basically you have one process as a team coach, and you're like a pasta machine, and you're noodling your team through your process. And those of you who are agile coaches know that that never works. Those of you who are team coaches and or facilitators know that that never works. We have to stay human, and we have to be flexible and try to live co-construction and collaboration, which has to be individual and in the moment, in my personal opinion and in my experience of, I think I started team coaching in 1996. So if you're good at math, that's probably more than 20 years of experience. Oh, yeah, 31, I think, maybe. No, 29. I don't know. Those of you good at math, tell me how many years. Okay, so if you look at the ICF definitions of a team, um, a group of people, as Dolly says, right, with a common purpose and shared goals who work interdependently in a shared context, and team coaching is partnering in a, as I say, partnering in a co-creative and reflective process with the team and its dynamics and relationships in a way that inspires them to maximize their abilities and potential in order to reach their common purpose and shared goals. So team coaching does not equal leader behavior. Of course, we all know that. Just so that we're clear on the ICF definitions of that. And ICF also has this very, very useful chart, which is of the team development modalities. And they say, ICF says that under team development modalities, team coaching over here to the right is only one of them. So you can have team building, team training, team consulting, team mentoring, team facilitation, or team coaching. And team coaching is the one that is longer term, where the process is designed by the team and the coach in partnership. As I said, it's really not one process that you're noodling everybody through. That's, for me, that's not team coaching. And the area of growth that the team is looking for is the achievement of objective or the sustainability of the team, and team dynamics, conflict resolution, moving forward is an integral component of the team development modalities. And the expert and the owner of the whole process is the team and not the coach. Yes. And leveraging each other's strength, I think that's what should be the goal of each team. I think, I mean, why do you have a team member if you're not able to leverage their strength and appreciate them? For one question I often ask of teams when I'm doing team coaching is, well, suppose you come to work every day happy and willing to do your best. What would that be like? And I think those two are very important because a team has social needs and business needs. And if you're happy to come and if you are willing to do your best, I think you're already well on the way of being a great team. Um, One difference in solution focused team coaching that is very dear to my heart is that in solution focus, we are very keen on talking with our clients. So you can see the little green dot maybe is the team coach, and the four other people with noses and eyes. I mean, I'm not a very good drawer, so I hope you can see what I mean. That we are together with the team. We're not as on the left, talking about the team, analyzing the team, or creating any models about the team. What we're interested in is being in the process with the team and interacting, co-creating with the team as a team coach. And that is a slight difference to models like the ORSC model and the Hawkins model of team coaching, where they have more the idea that the team coach is almost an independent, neutral entity observing the team. We think interacting with the team and co-creating with the team has more power than the observation. But I'm not saying there is a right or wrong. It's more, do you like chocolate ice cream or do you like vanilla ice cream? Um, we just think that interacting, we have a preference for that. Another preference that we have is that we really like to invite teams to talk about their preferred future and their successful past. So if you envision a conversation with a team like a house, you have the first floor. First floor where you're talking about things that you want and things that went well in the past. Lovely conversations. And then you have a basement where you talk about the problematic past and the dreaded future. So things where you really, things that you don't want. And one of the first tasks of a team coach in a solution focused way is to try and get everybody in the team to agree on what, well, not necessarily to agree, but to create a picture of what is it that they want in the future, rather than what they want to get away from. So it's quite normal for a team at the beginning of a team coaching process to say, we don't want this, we don't want that, we no longer want this, and these people are at fault, and it's blah, big complaint fest. And it's normal. When you are entering a team coaching process, there are things that you would like to be better. So the main task of a solution focused team coach here is to ask everybody, well, suppose it was better. What would you have instead? We are all so overworked. Maybe that's the complaint. It's a complaint we're hearing a lot. Okay, so what would you like instead? We would like a manageable workload. We would like to create successes, and we would like to work from, I don't know, 8 to 6 or whatever, right? We would like to feel that we're successful, and we would like to know that what we're doing is enough. So that's the instead. We want to get away from overwork, but where do we want to get to? That's something we can do something about. We can structure the work, we can create visibility if there are resources missing, etc. Sometimes there are outside things happening for the team that the team cannot control. Let's say there's a restructuring or something going on that's really not beneficial for the team, but the team has to live with it. So then we will not, in solution focus, we will try not to be entering into toxic positivity by letting people know, like, okay, well, it's not so bad, think about the positive. I really don't like that. But we would ask them instead, oof, the situation seems very difficult. How are you currently coping? Because that invites them to talk about their strengths. It invites them to talk about what are they still achieving in face of their hardships, in face of their difficulties, in spite of the situation. And then from talking about their strengths, from that position, new ideas can emerge. From the position of complaining and feeling helpless, not a lot of opportunities can emerge. And I believe that in coaching, we are really in the business of helping people see more opportunities than they saw before. So those would be the main principles of solution focus. Being in there with the clients, not observing, talking with and not talking about, and accepting reality as it is, but inviting a focus on resources and preferred future. Gitanjali said, it's powerful not shying away from a discussion on the currency. And yes, of course, anyone who's familiar with appreciative inquiry is like, will have their ears tingling at the moment. It is very similar to appreciative inquiry. Maybe in solution focus, we would start by asking, what do you want? Rather than starting from the resources. But it doesn't matter. I would say solution focus and appreciative inquiry are definitely at least cousins. Ah, yes. And I think in team sports, I would say the coach is more the manager and not the coach. So, of course, there's also a sports manager, but in an organization, you have the manager who's responsible for the performance of the team. And in sports, the coach is responsible for the manage for the performance of the team. So I would say that a business coach is something different than a sports coach. It's a different position. And I don't know what I said about accepting reality, except that I think, yes, we try and accept reality as it is. We try not to dig deep about why this reality exists or what is wrong about it, but we try accept reality and then look for resources, invite conversations about strengths, and invite conversations about what is wanted. Yes, it's a really good question. Do we make them discuss below the iceberg? I think for solution focus, we are not trying to dig into problems, which doesn't mean that we're not interested in meaning. So instead of digging into what is wrong and why, we would be not digging, we would be inviting upwards. So, what do you want and what's valuable about it? This can be the same kind of discussion. So rather than saying, what are you not talking about in your interactions? That could be digging deep, right? Or maybe there is a dynamic that is not helpful. What is the dynamic? Let's identify the dynamic. We wouldn't do that. Instead, we would ask, so suppose you come to work every morning happy and willing to give your absolute best. What would that look like? Everybody blah 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 blah, and in their heads they know it's not really like that right now. And we would then ask, okay, so maybe on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 is this picture you just described, where are you now? And then they say, oh, 3. Okay, a 3. What are you already doing? All of these things. And what might a next step look like? So we talk about the things without having to talk about the problem with which tends to make things more difficult. Because in businesses, when you say there is an issue, there is a problem, and you try to explain why this problem exists, often people start blame storming instead of brainstorming. Yeah. So people start looking for who's at fault rather than what's not working and what do we need to change. So solution focus would have a strong preference for what do we need to change and how do we get there rather than digging into why does what we need to change exist. I hope that helps. So a little bit of a structure of how we do team coaching. And this is now how to basically. We start with a contract clarification, obviously with HR or a superior or a sponsor. And then we do, after that contract clarification, we interview all concerned parties or stakeholders, team members, interfaces, customers, and we we ask them, what is it that this team is really good at? What are your best hopes for this team? What are the shining moments of this team? What could this team even be better at? Things like that. And from that, we can distill a report or a mind map of possible goals for a team coaching process. And the good thing is that we're not only asking the team, we're also asking the people around the team. Those of you who are familiar with Marshall Goldsmith's stakeholder centered coaching, it's a little bit like that. And we present that report or mind map to the team. Then we have a couple of meetings to address the issues or issues or wishes that were identified in the interviews. And then there is a follow-up. So you see, it's very, very straightforward. And I think it even looks a little bit like agile coaching, because we create in the first and second step, contract clarification and interviews, we kind of create a little bit like a backlog, and then we go work on it. So I think this structure works very well for agile coaches, and it also works very well for professional coaches who are individual coaches, because you can just use your powerful questions as a coach in the contract clarifications. You can use your individual coaching skills in the interviews because you are only working with the individuals. Then you know exactly what the team wants. The only thing you need to add is facilitation, moderation techniques in order to run the workshops and follow-ups. So I think this is a very easy way to segue from individual coaching into team coaching. So let me give you an overview of the solution-focused coaching, team coaching moves or coaching moves. The idea of or the metaphor of solution-focused team coaching that is often used, and it comes from an outfit called Brief in London, is a walk through an art gallery. When you go to an art gallery or to a museum, the first thing that you need to do is buy a ticket. So that's what we're doing here in the first moves, the first two steps. We're going to be buying a ticket together with the team to establish a platform, to establish a common project. What are we going to be doing together? Getting a coaching agreement with all team members and stakeholders is always the first step, as you probably know. Next step is our preferred future gallery. And the image is that together with the team, we will be walking into a big room with pictures on all sides of the walls that describe what the team will be like when it is at its full power. What are you going to see? What are you going to feel? What is going to happen when you are at your best? So what are your best hopes? What would be you at your best? What would that look like? And maybe we would do an exercise like invite the team to write an article about themselves from the future, let's say after they have won a prize or something. After that, we would move into the instances galleries and ask, when has the preferred future already happened? Maybe if they're talking about a problem, was there a time this problem could have occurred but didn't? You could ask them for their resources, their past successes. We could ask it, as I just did now, ask the scaling question on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is you are at your best and 0 is you're really, really down in the pits. Where are you now? And the last step is the so-called gift shop. And the gift shop is in a museum where you buy probably not so useful things that stand around in your home, like a umbrella with a print, or I don't know, those things that stand around and collect dust. Everybody has them and everybody loves them. So it's about, what are you going to be taking away from this session? What is an experiment that you can do? What would tell you the next time that you meet, um, that you have made progress? And in solution focus, we are for experiments rather than projects. Of course, if it's about something that needs to be structured in a project, the team can do that. But if we phrase something interactional as an experiment, it becomes easier for people to agree with it. If you say, why not experiment with this facilitation of your weekly meeting until next time we meet? Then people will say, okay, we'll try this out, rather than, no, this will never work, I don't want it. It creates a more interesting spirit of, uh, we don't have, it doesn't have to be perfect just yet. You can be a little bit more incremental that way. And again, you will see some similarities to Agile. I don't know if I can share the slides afterwards, but if I have a possibility to give you the slides, I can. Here we have, in an individual coaching agreement, examples of how this is coached. So let me see if I can share my slides afterwards. I have a question. How many workshop sessions do you have individual coaching after each of these workshops? Uh, no, go away. So yeah, here. Okay. Uh, how many workshop sessions depends entirely on the team. Don't know. If they have one topic, one workshop. If they have three topics, three workshop. If they have one big topic, five workshop. It really depends on how fast they are. And individual coaching, I don't personally like coaching the team as a team coach and coaching individuals from the same team. Just because my mind doesn't, I'm a, I don't do secrets very well. And I like to be transparent with people. So then maybe I learn something from participant A about the team that I've learned in the confidentiality of the individual coaching. And then in the team coaching, I'm not supposed to know that. And it's just making me completely confused. So I know that there are people who can do this. I just don't happen to be one of them. And you see, probably you're saying, like, but Kirsten, this is so easy. Yeah, easy, really easy. You hear a lot that team coaching is so complex and we need to have two, three team coaches in there because one person needs to observe and if we are really operating from a spirit of collaboration, and if we are interested in what's working and what is wanted, and if we are not in the business of creating theories about the team, hypotheses, theories, stage models, identifying what are their dysfunctions, if we're not doing that, but really focusing, we're working together, we're focusing on what you want, what you're already able to do, and how you can improve. Those are the three things that we're looking at. It becomes very simple and very useful. But this simplicity is not easy because as human beings, we always have our assumptions, our hypotheses, our ways of thinking about other people. We always think that we know something, maybe that other people don't. At least if you're like me, I have assumptions. And being able to take my assumptions and suspend them and say, yes, I'm observing something and I have an idea of why this is, but it is not the truth. It is my truth. my observation. I can offer it helpfully, but if the team says, I don't care, we don't want to deal with that, that's their prerogative. Let me see, there is a question. No, usually do companies declare a result-based bonus in the beginning for team motivation? I haven't seen that, and I also don't think that would be very useful. I think there are some studies from behavioral economics that if you reward something like motivation, probably the motivation is rather goes down. Yeah. So, Dr. Prakash, I don't know, but I think no. Rajiv, I have 15 more minutes. Is that correct?
That's correct. And there are a few more interesting questions in the Q&A box also. Whenever
The
you are ready,
Q&A
I will
box. Let me
flash them
see,
on
where
the
is the Q&A box? Where can I find it?
just below the chat box. I can flash those questions on the screen if you want.
Yes, I have the Q&A box. Yes.
So should I flash that questions on the Q&A box?
Yeah, I have it. Okay. So looking at this, thank you. Which stage? My experience, they don't lose momentum because we're really only working on things that are interesting to the team. Since I'm only working on what they are interested in, there is no loss of momentum. At least I haven't experienced it. How do the group dynamics influence the process? See, group dynamics is something where you as a coach are observing something from the outside. But you probably mean that sometimes there are weird things going on in teams, that maybe they fight during a team coaching, or they somebody is silent and doesn't say anything. So that's where you need your facilitation skills. And let's say you have a conflict in the team coaching. It could be the job of the team coach to, let's say, person A says, you are never on time, person B says, but I don't get information from you, so I'm never on time. And they start, quarreling. Then you could ask person A, okay, what you want is you want to get, you want the deadlines met. Person B, do you also want to meet the deadlines? Yes, of course we want to meet the deadlines, but I need information. Aha, okay. So we need the information and we need the deadline kept. How can we make that happen? So by looking at what is wanted rather than what's not wanted, we can get people to agree on what could be better and how they can get there. Maybe one possible answer. I think the interpersonal issues can also be taken care of very nicely by the interviews at the beginning. So you can see here, contracting with team members is the interview phase. I'm just going to take some time to answer the questions because I think I've explained the process. We don't have to go through all the slides. You can read the slides later. I have a very nice example. I was talking to a team member in an interview about their process, and the team member was like, "Oh, my leader, he is such a blah 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 blah." And he was really not holding back. Was a German guy, right? We are not as polite as you guys. And um, so in this interview, I asked him, well, what gives you the confidence? Since you think your leader is such a loser, what gives you the confidence that we can actually achieve something here in this team coaching? I mean, literally, I was interested. It's like, okay, so but if it's that hopeless, why are you here? And he thought for a long time, and then he said, "You think I have to give him another chance, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, you said that. I didn't." And so these interviews are not only information gathering things, they are already a way of changing people's mindsets into hope, into the possibility of change. So maybe that's one way of at least surfacing interpersonal issues in respectful ways, in ways that allow people to change rather than to solidify conflicts. ownership shape up when it's given to a team? Don't know how to answer that. Maybe you can say a little bit more in the questions because I don't think I understand. How much time does it take for a team completely to be on the same page and come to a common solution? It's completely arbitrary. You never know. Of course, as a team coach, if you sell something, you have to sell a couple of workshops, right? But I always say, okay, this is the process. These are the hours we estimate, but please, this has to be breathing. This has to be flexible. And I don't really think there is a way you can gauge that. I usually say, let's do the interviews and then I'll come back with an estimate because then I know, do they have one issue, two issues, three terrible issues? Yeah. Janet, yes. Intergenerational teams can be fun when you can get people to understand that diversity and difference is an asset. And when they can negotiate what are the minimum common denominators that we need. So, where can we be different and where do we need to be similar? One exercise that I love doing in such diverse teams is for everybody to write washing instruction for themselves. So, like, in the back of your shirt, you have these washing instructions. And then these are feedback instructions. If you want me to do something differently, this is how I would like you to talk to me. To enable diverse teams to understand that your stereotypical German engineer won't mind if you tell him, okay, babe, we need this differently, and we need it this way, and this is why. And if he understands it, he'll go like, sure. If you talk the same way, let's say, to a Japanese female engineer, she might be insulted and never talk to you again. I'm just being stereotypical. Of course, there are, just as a to make it clear. Of course, they're very tough female Japanese engineers, and they're very soft-hearted German engineers. You get my point, but so to make it clear that, hey, in order for us to communicate across generations, across differences, this is how you talk to me. And then we have, what else do we have? No, we don't do root cause analysis. We're not interested. We're not interested in root cause analysis at all. We are interested in root goal analysis. So we're not interested in the explanations. We're really only interested in what is it that you want and what will it look like. Why it's not like that at the moment, who cares? And I think in interpersonal relationships, they're so complex, the complex adaptive systems. Root cause analysis doesn't help in these circumstances, I think. The challenges in execution as they are unable to influence the system. Yeah, that's true. And then the question is, what is it that they want to live with? And what is it that they're willing to change and or try to change? Because sometimes teams try to change the unchangeable for such a long time that all their energies goes into changing the unchangeable. And they stop being productive. They just all go, oh, this restructure or whatever. So if we say, okay, what management decided makes no sense, and this is why, okay, we see that. How long are you going to try and convince management to do something different? And how? Okay, we're going to try it for 2 months, and we're going to use these meetings to do that, and we're going to get a decision. Fine. After these 2 months, if you haven't been able to change it, are you then able to move forward, accept reality as it is, and do your best going forward? think that the problem is people stick to trying to change the unchangeable and put a lot of energy in it. And I think putting a time saying, okay, we're going to try and change it until then. It's also a very good relationship tip, by the way. If your husband or your wife is doing something intolerable, setting yourself a timeline as to when you think this needs to be changed and otherwise accept it. Going to make you happier. Free advice from me. Okay. The ideal size of participants is the team. I guess if you have somebody, if you have a 20-person team, you need another. It would be good to have another team coach just because otherwise it could be a bit stressful for you. Yeah.
We will take a last one, Kirsten, because
Yeah,
we're finally.
individual coaching versus team coaching. Which one do you say? I think they're both effective, but for different things. I don't think you can compare. Yeah. So Danya, that's a great question. Um, I think when they're stuck in crisis or dysfunction, I wouldn't, it's a difficult word for me, but when they're stuck in crisis, it's important to ask first to acknowledge, accept, acknowledge, yes, this is bad, this is difficult, and then ask a lot of coping questions. How are you able to deal with it? What are you doing? What is strengthening you? Maybe ask them to tell a few highlights from their team history so that a little bit of hope can grow. Because if there is zero hope, coaching is very difficult. Individual coaching, agile coaching, team coaching, if there is no hope, it's really difficult. So you have to kind of grow hope and then you can start.
Is there any final words that you may have? Because there was a lot of slides that you were kind enough to answer the
No,
questions.
the, the other slides that I have are mainly slides. I'm just going to show you the rest of the slides are basically just detailed instructions on how to do this process.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save a PDF. And can I send it to you or can I put it in the chat? How can I make it possible for
You
people
can
to
send
have
it
my
to me. I
slides?
will upload it in the resources tab so people can download it from there. You can
Great. So
email it to
then
me
you
right
can,
away. I will do the needful.
perfect.
Let me invite my colleague Kalpesh to offer your vote of thanks.
Hey, Kirsten, a big round of applause, I think, from all of us who are here attending the session. I think that was beautiful. And considering that while individual coaching has been very effective for over the number of years, currently the team coaching and the systemic coaching and things that are shaping up because people have started understanding the importance of getting teams together and working towards an aligned goal. I think your session was completely apt and kind of set the foundation for us. So thank you so much for those nuggets, for those simple tips of contracting, acknowledging the crisis, getting together. Uh, I think that those are beautiful nuggets that we go with, and glad and thank you for making it. You're under the weather, but you've come back and you delivered a session which added so much of value. So thank you so much for your presence. Really acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And, talking to lovely people like you and answering questions always brings up my energy. So I'm very glad that I didn't spend my day in my bed sipping tea trying to get over this vaccination.
So nice. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
once
being
again.
me.
God bless. I'm going to move you to the backstage and thank you.